Hey guys, what's up? So I'm back with another video. This video I decided that I would talk about my experience with moving to another state. Whew. Let's get into it. Bet she doesn't touch like me. Sure as hell don't fuck like me. Alright, so basically, I lived in New York, like I was born and raised in New York. And I lived there like my whole entire life basically. And I went to school there in Brooklyn, New York. Public school, college, like all that. All my jobs have been in Brooklyn. Yeah, so basically I had a friend, and he basically was friends with my mom when me and my sisters was a lot younger. And so like we looked at him like he was younger than my mom, and he became cool with my mom and her boyfriend at the time. And he was younger than them, so he was like a teen, like late teen, while they were like in their 30s or whatever. So I guess they just connected or whatever like that, and they just became really close. So he became like a real good family friend. Like he knew my grandmother, like my cousins, like my best friends. Like he knew everybody. He was basically like a brother to us, because we were like maybe like 10 and 11 when we met him, and he was like maybe like, I'm gonna say like 15 when we met him. And then like as we got older, like he just used to like take us places. Like he was just that older brother, you know. So he was kind of like the child, like the son my mom never had, kind of. If that's how I would look at it. I don't know how anybody else would look at it, but anyway, yeah, that's like the best way like I could explain it. So he would like buy us things on our birthdays. He would take us places. Like we would just like we was cool. Like it was like a good relationship, you know. Like he was like, we would talk to him about stuff. He would like, when we was like really young, he would read us like bedtime stories and, you know, things like that. So let's see. I have so many different stories, like, but I'm honestly gonna leave I'm gonna leave a few details out, because I'm gonna do like multiple stories on this particular subject. So I'm gonna leave a few details out. So basically, what I'm gonna stick to is why I moved to another state. So I moved from New York to New Jersey, which is not that far, but it technically is another state. So that's basically what I'm gonna cover in this video. Now moving forward, other videos, I'm gonna cover other topics. I mean, the same other videos I'm gonna do on this same topic, and it gets real crazy. But anyway, my life, yeah, entertainment. But yeah, so basically like as I got older, so now I'm like in my like late 20s or whatever, and this friend, let's just say his name is William. This friend was like telling me, like he had moved to Jersey, and he had been living here for like a few years or whatever, and he was telling me how he wanted to start his own business. Like he was already starting his own business, researching, doing a lot of research. He had already like had his foot in the door for certain things, whatever the case is. So so my nail, yeah. So basically he was trying to get me to work for him. So when he said that, when he first brought it to my attention that he wanted me to work for him, I thought like, okay, like I'm just gonna travel from New York to New Jersey every day, because I drove anyway. I basically had a car like ever since I got my license when I was 18. So I used to drive, like I always had a car. So I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna be driving from New York to New Jersey. Like it's not that serious, not that bad, whatever. But the job that I had at the time, like I really liked my job. So I was kind of like iffy about it, and I was just kind of like, oh, I don't know. And I was just kind of like making up every excuse in a book not to do it. Like, oh, I had took some city exams, I'm waiting on the results for that. Like I might get going with that, like because I'm still in school. So while I was still in college, I was still kind of like dipping and dabbing, trying to find my way, kind of, you know. So I was just basically trying to make every excuse in a book to not move to Jersey and take this job offering. So he was like, all right, well, let me know if you change your mind or if anything changes or whatever like that. So I'm like, okay, cool. So maybe like a year passed by, and then we went, me, my boyfriend at the time, and my son went to go see him in Jersey at his house. And like they were supposed to have like a little barbecue, whatever, but we came late. And like we just went, we hung out, we had like a glass of wine or whatever, we talked. Like it felt like hours, but honestly it was like maybe like only 2 hours that we stayed there. We caught up, we talked. It was cool, it was a chill vibe, whatever. I don't know if he wanted me to come there just to see like the Jersey atmosphere, or to see like how he was living, to like be like, oh, do you want to live this way or whatever like that. I don't know exactly what it was, but yeah, like it was cool or whatever. Like we left after like 2 or 3 hours, and then we went back to New York. And while we was there, he actually mentioned it again, like having me come work for him. And I was like, oh yeah, you know, like we gonna talk, whatever, just brushing it off or whatever. So then maybe like that week, like he like kept bringing it up, like he would text me about it. He called me a few times about it, and he just made it sound like really good. He was like, oh, we're gonna start you off at this rate. I realized that I could actually start you off at a higher rate now. Basically like benefits, and you know, you don't have to worry about a babysitter because my wife is a stay-at-home mom, and your son is going to be fine here, and the schools here are amazing compared to New York. And it's so crazy because when I go to New York after living in Jersey for so many years, like I go to New York and I just look around and I'm just like so disgusted, and I'm just like, how could I have ever lived here? Like these were the things that he was telling me, to basically trying to like manipulate me to like, you know, take the job offering, come move to, he actually wanted me to move to Jersey. He wanted me to take the job offering and just basically like change my whole life, work with him, make money with him, and basically help him flourish his business. So after all these things, I really started thinking like, like more money, benefits. I'm in a comfortable environment because I knew him like for years. I knew him like most of my life. So I'm really like considering it. He told me like this other guy is gonna come on board that we grew up with, that was more like in his age range, but I actually knew the guy as well. We lived in the same neighborhood. Like, you know, he just had a lot of good things to say. So I had spoke to my then boyfriend about it, and we kind of like just went back and forth about it, because at that point I was kind of like I was kind of moving forward towards it, like because everything sounded so great. And the job he was offering me more than what the job I had at the time was paying me. And the only thing that really stuck out in my mind was that the job that I have now is paying me this much. It's gonna take me at least a few years before I start making what he claimed to have wanted to start me at. So I knew with the job that I was working at now, like we used to get evaluations like every 6 months. So basically like with the evaluation, if you had a good evaluation, then you got a raise, whatever. And then that raise could be like as little as 50 cents, you know? So the numbers that he was talking was looking pretty good. And I had already heard about Jersey, knowing that it was cheaper, cheaper insurance, car notes, cheaper living. And then if I have like all this cheaper living and he's paying me more than what I was making in New York, like I have money to save, I have more money to travel. Like it's just all these things that was really going through my mind, you know? So we spoke about it, and he was my boyfriend at the time was actually like against it. Like he like literally like he was asking questions and stuff like that, but like I just feel like he was just against it completely. And I feel like when someone brings something to your attention, like I don't feel like you should just knock it down, like no matter who they are. I feel like you should at least have an open mind about it. Like, okay, let's weigh out the pros and the cons type of attitude, you know, instead of, oh no, that's dumb, and oh, then what about this, and what about that, and what about this? Because to me that's gonna come off negative, and negativity I don't do at all. So therefore I'm just gonna put a wall up and shut you out. So now it's gonna be kind of like, okay, I gotta figure this out myself type shit. So basically that's basically kind of like what it was. And Like, I was just like, oh, he's being negative about it. Every day he had another question to ask me and why I shouldn't do it. So it was just kind of like, wow. So that kind of made me like feel like, oh, like I'll just figure it out on my own, you know? So basically, like, I was already going through something I had already began going through something at the job that I was at, that I thought I was happy at. So everything just started to come down all together to kind of point at, maybe this Jersey move is the best thing for me, you know, at this time. And just to let y'all know, like, that will happen. The devil will do that. Like, the devil's disguise is real. And he'll make you think that this is good for you, or these people are good for you, and give you these signs as to why they're good for you. And in reality, it's the devil. And you won't realize that until it's too late. So honestly, I feel like it was everything pointing to this position and this move. And after a few months, like, and then us talking about it, me and William talking about it, and just getting excited about it and this and that. And him just saying, oh, I'll be able to move you up after 3 months to even more. And by the end of the year, you'll be making 4 times that. And, you know, just mad different stuff. So basically, me knowing him, having history with him, like, I really believed everything that he was telling me. So after a few months, I was like, you know what? Like, I'm going to move. Like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to take a risk and I'm going to do it. So that's what I did. My then boyfriend was not happy about it. He tried to do everything that he could to kind of, like, get me to stay. But I was just like, like, no, this is what I want to do. This is what I have to do, kind of. So, I started looking at places in Jersey, and it was kind of hard for me to find, not hard for me to find a place, but I wanted to live in a great area. And then it's kind of like with Jersey, it's like, if you live in a high crime rated area, of course the rent is going to be extremely affordable. But if you live in an amazing area where crime is very low or non-existent, and you have these great schools and great people, and, you know, everyone's so friendly, rent is going to be a lot higher. So basically, that's what I was looking for. I was looking for something in those areas so my son could go to a great school, but it had to be affordable for me. I wasn't going to break the bank just to live in an amazing, you know, neighborhood. So I wound up finding a place last minute, maybe like the weekend before I was supposed to move out of my Brooklyn apartment. And it was like kind of like a semi-gated community. It had a pool. It was the condos. They had a laundromat in the same building under the units, and garage space, you know, like storage space. So it was really cool or whatever. And it was for a reasonable price. It was less than what I was paying for, maybe like $200 less than what I was paying for in Brooklyn. So it wound up working out. And I wound up working for William's company before I actually even moved to Jersey. I was like literally going back and forth from New York to New Jersey for like a few weeks before I actually moved there. So I moved there, and it was cool. I put my son in school. I put him in after school, which I had to pay for out of pocket, which was extremely expensive. But, you know, the work environment was cool or whatever. It just felt like home, you know? So, after maybe like a few months, like the first 3 months, I started feeling like just out of place. Like, this is really not for me. You know, it's quiet here. I'm a city girl. Like, I feel out of place. Even coming to work, it's an amazing building. It's a beautiful building. The people are nice. The coworkers are nice. I work with people that I've known for years. But it just didn't feel like normal to me. And then on top of that, like, I was really going through things in my relationship at the time, and I feel like that move to Jersey kind of put a strain on our relationship. And he was really trying hard to travel like to New Jersey like all the time, and it was a lot, you know. I guess I kind of like didn't realize like the effect it would have on the people who were really like consistent in my life, because my son had to change his school again in another state. He had to be that new kid again, you know. And also in my relationship, like he really had to travel like really far. Like it was literally like an hour away from where he lived in Brooklyn. So like he literally had to travel like an hour. If he wanted to like come to my house after work, sometimes he would leave from my house to go to work. So it was just like a lot on him, and it was a lot that I expected from him like as a boyfriend. So I mean, I didn't expect him to come every night or every other night and like every weekend, you know, but he did try, and I guess like that's the important part. And honestly, I feel like the move did like really put like a really hard strain on our relationship. Not just traveling, you know. So yeah, so basically William was actually expecting a baby within a few months, and after like the first 3 to 4 months, after like the first few months of working there, like it wasn't really much for me to do there. So it's kind of like, okay, you got me here, you started this business, I'm here, like I'm doing little odd end jobs and little things like faxing papers, filing this, creating this folder, little stuff like that, and sending emails. But honestly, like it was nothing from the office work that I was doing in the job before, which I was happy about. But it's kind of like when you come to work and you kind of like just sit around to do nothing and you're getting paid to do nothing, it kind of sounds good, like, oh, okay, I ain't gotta do shit. But after a while, it kind of takes a toll on you, and it's kind of like, okay, what are we doing here? Like, what like future does this hold? Like, is the company gonna do well? Is the company not? Like, you start to kind of question a lot of different things, and that's kind of like what was going on. So basically, like I wasn't doing shit all day. I was like literally doing my homework and on YouTube. He would make like a list for me to do things, and I would be done with it in like 30 minutes, because it was like little shit like send this email to this person, send this email to that person, fax this, bring this, go check the mail. So it's like, okay, I came here to do what? Like, and then again, like I said, like it may seem like, oh, I ain't doing nothing all day, like, hey, you know, whatever, I'm happy about it. And that's the attitude that I tried to have. I try to be positive about it, like, hey, I'm getting paid to do nothing, whatever. But at the end of the day, like, it really takes a toll on you. It's just like I'm going crazy in here. And then sometimes I was just sitting in the office by myself, like, and it was just kind of like the phone wasn't ringing, you know, it was just nothing going on. So then that made me question like the success of his business, which also made me question my pay and my raises that I was promised and this, that, and the third. And we had multiple conversations about that. And like William confirmed that no, everything will be fine and this, that. Okay, cool. So whatever. So then he went on maternity leave, and I kind of feel like after a certain amount of time, like the communication kind of got weird between us. And I honestly think that it was because he asked me, like he used to ask me to watch like his wife's son, because I have a son. So it was kind of like, oh, that's perfect because they could hang out together, whatever. So I found myself watching his wife's son more than my son was even going to his house, you know, spending time. Because it was kind of like I would watch his wife's son. I would have them for like a few hours, whatever. They would play, they would have fun, whatever. And then it was kind of like, oh yeah, and when we pick our son up, we'll take Kimani back to spend the night to have a sleepover or something. Or, yeah, what are you doing next weekend? Okay, we want Kimani to come over. We're going to have a barbecue, and then we're going to have a sleepover. And then it's kind of like the plans always fell through. And then they wouldn't be brave enough to say, oh, we got to cancel tonight because of X, Y, and Z. It was just kind of like, oh, we're picking up our son now. Gotta go. Meanwhile, they were supposed to, you know, take Kimani to go and have fun, to continue the boys' fun and stuff like that. So it was kind of like, what? Like, I'm over here doing y'all favors and getting this little boy out of y'all hair. And, you know, it's just kind of like, okay, like, you know, when do I get a little bit of a favor? I mean, it wasn't even a favor. It was just like them offering to take my son to spend time with their son. So it was kind of like, okay, don't tell me that, and then I tell my son that, and then nothing ever happens. So that's why I actually stopped telling my son stuff too. So it was kind of like they always asked me, yeah, like to do this and that. So as like when it was time for them to have my son, it was always an excuse. So I kind of didn't like that, and I kind of like brought it up too, and it was kind of like I was just like brushed off, like, oh, okay, cool, it won't happen again type shit. So then he asked me if I can stay at his house the day his wife was supposed to go into labor, or the day his wife was supposed to be induced. And actually that day I had a city exam to take in New York, and I actually was gonna request off, and I forgot to put it in the calendar when I had scheduled the exam. So when he asked me, I said, okay, no problem, whatever, because you know that's just how I used to do stuff. I used to always find a way, make a way, like, just, that's my boss, oh, that's also a friend of mine, so I'm gonna go hard. That's just the type of friend that I am. And if you haven't seen that video, the type of friend that I am, I'm gonna link it in the description box, because legit, like, I'm that type of friend. So basically I just was like, yeah, sure. And then when I got home, I realized, oh snap, I looked at my calendar and I realized, like, I already had plans to call out that day. So I don't know if he felt the way because I was planning to call out that day, and the day that he needed me. Maybe he felt the way, I don't know. He didn't really communicate that to me. But basically after that, the communication between us and the vibe started getting weird at work. And then it was kind of like I was feeling like I needed to like he knew how I felt when it came to like living there, and if I was gonna continue to live there long term, or if I was gonna move back to New York. Like, I communicated this with him multiple times over a period of months. So I will always like bring it up just to like, oh, don't forget, like, might not be here long, like, because I'm not happy. Like, I'm not gonna stay somewhere that I'm not happy, you know. So basically when he went on his maternity leave, I was like doing other stuff. Like, I'm not gonna front, like, I was going through a lot and I was doing other stuff. So basically I got called for Customs and Border to start the process. And at this point I was coming into the office every day and nobody was there. Nobody would come in. So I was there from like 9 to like 4, and literally like nobody would come in, nobody would drop mail off, nobody would call. Like, I was literally on the computer like doing homework and doing other stuff all day. So I had went and took the exam one day after work and I passed it, and then I just started like doing the process towards that. And one day they needed me to come in for a medical, and they didn't have weekend appointments. So basically I had to schedule it like in the morning before I went to work. So I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna just do that. I'm gonna just schedule it in the morning, and then I'm just gonna go to work after. So it wound up taking longer than expected, and I got to work I think at like 12. And when I got there, of course nobody was there, so I thought, like, you know, it really doesn't matter, like, nobody's here anyway. So there was a package that came in. I was like, oh snap. So I accepted the package, signed for it, put it on his desk, and that was that. Stayed till like 4 o'clock, and then like I left for the day. So now the next day came, and I came into work and I saw William like in the kitchen, and I like waved or whatever while I was walking to the office, and then he kind of like called me back like, oh, come. And I'm like, oh, I want to put down my bag or whatever. And then he was like, no, come. So I'm like, okay. So then I went to him. We sat in like this little cubicle space that they have like by the elevators, by the kitchen, and we talked or whatever. And he was very like nasty. He was very unprofessional. He was very rude. Like, the way he was talking to me, you would never think that we have history. You would never think that we were friends outside of business. You would never think that we ever had any type of like personal relationship at all, the way he talked. And I know where I came from, so I'm just like, I used to have a really bad attitude, and I never want to go back to that. And I try my best not to allow people to get me back to that. So the way he talked to me, like literally, that could have came back like that. But I think I held it down. Like I really held it down. And so long story short, basically like he was like, so you're done. And yeah, that's how he fired me. And I was just like, what am I gonna do now? Like I'm stuck in another state that I don't want to be in, and it's just like, what the hell. So it was just like a really bad experience for me. And he also threatened me when I went back to the office to get like a few of my things. He wanted me to open my computer, and I told him that the password was the same password that he had created when he first hired me. I never changed the password. So he said, like, he demanded me to open the computer. And I was like, no, the password is the same. You made it up. You got it. So I went to leave, and then he threatened me and said, oh, do you want your last check? And I don't really do well with threats. So I just looked at him and said, really? It's not that serious. And I literally just walked out. So basically, I never got paid my last check. And I filed a claim and everything like that. But with New Jersey, it just takes forever. So whatever. Like, it is what it is. If I was really that big of a bee, I would have took him to court. But God will handle people like that. And if he does, if you don't pay for it, your children will. So whatever. I'm just gonna leave it in the good Lord's hands. So I said I just gotta record something real quick. So I didn't mention this, but basically from me not coming in on time the 2 days from when I had to do the medical and the next day, I didn't come in on time, and I didn't tell him that I was not gonna be there on time. He looked at it as I was disconnected, and that's just the way I was moving the whole time. Meanwhile, he didn't have proof. He didn't, like, that's not what I was doing. It was just those 2 days that I was not there on time. So he figured that literally this is what I've been doing the whole time he wasn't here. So basically, I guess that was the reason for him firing me or whatever. So yeah, that happened or whatever. And then I went home, and I like just really was like in my feelings, and I wound up writing him an email or whatever. And it wasn't a nasty email in my opinion. I think it just got straight to the point, and I just like really expressed myself. I sent him an email, boom, sent it, whatever. Didn't get a response, didn't expect a response, and that was just really it for that. So yeah, that's really it. The other stories that I have about this person, yo, I'm really gonna let y'all know because it's pure entertainment. Like, all the things that I have been through, like, in my life. Like, I said that I would write a book one day, which I might still do it. But honestly, I feel like my channel is the platform for me to just entertain you guys with my stories and to just let you guys know what's going on or what has happened in my life, because I really want to help other people. Like, if you've ever been through this, then you could remember, oh snap, Malone went through that too, when this or that, oh, I remember hearing a story about this girl, blah, 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 whatever the case is, you know? So any way that I can help out with experiences and making the right choices moving forward in life, I would love to do so. So basically I say that just to say, like, if you're comfortable in life, there's nothing wrong with being comfortable in life. Yes, we all want to flourish. Yes, we all want to move up the right path. Yes, we want to all take steps into the next level and positions in our lives. But at the end of the day, like, if you're okay with where you are and you love where you live and you're happy, you're in a great relationship and your children are happy, and you get offered this great opportunity to make more money and you have to change your whole life around, like, really pray on it and really consider the people that will be affected, and just really consider who you call your friends as well, because a lot of people are not your friends. A lot of people are in it for themselves and what they could get out of you, and when they're done using and abusing you, they just drop you like it's nothing. So really consider, like, everything before you really make choices in life, right? So That's it. If y'all got any questions or anything like that, leave a comment down below. Make sure y'all subscribe to my channel because it's Vlogmas and I'm dead gonna be uploading every single day. So happy holidays, guys. Comment, subscribe, like, and I will see y'all guys in the next video. Later.